but you have had to be that little girl that was raped in her home by knife point to understand why this is so important to me. I was 13 years old and I lived in the West Dallas area, and all the kids were sleeping downstairs. We had just moved back from Houston, and I was on the couch as the oldest kid, and so we called it the fuzz back then, when the fuzz would come on TV after, I don't remember whatever the guy name was, his TV show would go off late at night. And that's all I can remember was the fuzz as I dozed off at nighttime. I'm awakened in the middle of the night with a knife pressed to my throat and someone trying to rip my clothes from me. I had no idea who it was, where he came from, how did he choose me, how did he enter my home, or any of these factors, but I do know that he violated me and he took my innocence away from me that night. It was tormenting to go through that ordeal, not knowing if I was going to live or die or see another day, not knowing if my siblings that would sleep on the floor were alive or he was going to harm them, as he said to me, not knowing if he was going to go upstairs and kill my mother and my stepfather, my other family members that were in the home. It was a very traumatic night, and to indulge in a conversation with a monster who would ask you how old you were, and you told him 12 because you thought maybe, because at 13 we think we're grown sometimes, and I'm a teenager now, so I'm thinking 12, he'll stop what he's doing, and all he said was damn, and he continued on to take and fight me and go against me and have these crazy conversations with me as I'm trying to figure out, why are you doing this to me? This happened. It seemed like it went on forever. It probably went on for about 20 minutes. It could have been less, but it happened. And there I was, bloody, bruised, clothes ripped from me, and felt abandoned and all alone as he told me to lay face down in that couch. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I did know. I said, this is the end. I was certain this was the end. So this calmness came back over the home as it was when the fuzz had came over, and I heard the back door slam. Come to find out, he came through the front window and he left out the back door like he had some rights to me. And as he left, I laid there a few moments more before I screamed bloody murder. Mom, running upstairs, somebody just attacked me. This was a night I would never forget. It's etched in your mind, it's etched in your brain, it's etched in your spirit of how you are violated, how you're kicked to the side, how you feel neglected, abused, and that nobody cares about you. And then I faced the police. I don't dislike you guys anymore, but I had a very hard disdain for police because the two officers that came out to take my crime, they asked me questions like, are you sure it wasn't your boyfriend? Are you sure you're not involved with someone sexually and you don't want your mom to find out? Are you sure you didn't let him in the house? I was even more devastated. I was like, wow, this can't be happening. This can't be real. And then I'm taken to Parkland, which was another place that I used to despise until I went through my healing phase. And they left me in the hallway on a gurney while the police are steady questioning me and people are walking by, and here I am, this little black girl that's tattered and torn and bruised and blooded everywhere, and everybody's watching me like, what did she do wrong? I did absolutely nothing wrong. I just wanted to go to sleep that night and wake up the next day and play with my siblings and live a life that any normal 13-year-old should have. I didn't go back to that home that night. I told my mom there was no way, because the last words that rapist told me was, I know your family, and if I see the police come over here, I'm gonna come back and kill you all. And I said, I can't go back. So I went to stay with my aunt, and I want to say the next day, the Dallas Police Department came out and they brought these big books of all of these, I guess, other monsters they were trying to keep under cap, and they kept going through the books and saying, is it him, is it him? And finally, I noticed that they were trying to single out the same guy in different books. And I told them, I said, look, I know it was dark, but I gave you my description. I know what I saw through my creeping eyes, and none of these are him. They closed the books, they left. That was July 31st, 1985, August 2nd, 1985. My case was, as they say, suspended. To me, my case was closed because they did absolutely, positively nothing. Now, at that time, I didn't know that they wasn't working for me. I just assumed as a child, and I'm growing up, somebody out there is that officer, there is that person that has my case file in front of them, and they're going to find out what happened to this little girl that night. I'm going to search high and low, and I'm going to figure out why this monster came in her house and took something that didn't belong to him, especially my peace of mind, my way of living, the way I acted, the way I interacted with others. I knew there was someone doing that for me, but it wasn't. It was not. I didn't only find that out when the Debbie Smith Act went into law, federal funding for the states to have access to funding for rape kits or cold case crimes. I knew this was my answer because now this is 21 years later, and I went through my healing process. Now I'm trying to get other survivors to use their voices because I had enough. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew it had to be something with rape victims not being willing to speak up or speak out and let their faces and voices be known. I had to do this. I had to do this, but I didn't know that there was more darkness behind me, and that was with the rape kits. So when one day I saw that the Dallas Police Department started the CCAP program, the Sexual Assault Cold Case Program, and that was like in 2005. And so I said, this is my answer, Lord, you are answering my prayers. I can finally get a closure, and I can finally find that answers who it was that raped me. Maybe they already know, they just couldn't locate me. Now I'm married, I have a different last name. You know, I've moved since then several times, so maybe this is my answer. I called the Dallas Police Department Cold Case Program. They found my file. Ms. Masters, unfortunately, your case was never solved. Okay. So what happened? Is he dead? Did you not know how? Please explain this to me. You did fingerprints in my house. The same nurse she poked, she probed, she took everything. She had my underwear. She took my gown. Please tell me what happened. No answers. Absolutely no answers. All they gave me was an apology for how they treated me then, how they seemed to disregard me as a person. And this was Sergeant Patrick Welsh, whom I still highly esteem, although he's retired today with the Dallas Police Department, because he was really in there for victims, that were victims of the shells. But what I learned in this process, what I missed not one, but two statute of limitations after my assault. The first one was 5 years after the rape, and then 10 years after my 18th birthday. I had no idea that in the process of this, my perpetrator had actually been picked up 8 months after my rape. So of course I was even more furious, because I'm like, who's the basket case that did not get my evidence and connected with him, and he's behind prison walls? That doesn't make sense to me. That is unacceptable. There is no excuse, you know, but it happened. And so as I'm continuing to learn and go through the process of how all of this work, and so Sergeant Welsh was like, Lavinia, we're sorry this happened. I know we can't make it up, but we're gonna do everything we can to give you some sort of answers. So it took about a year, and we got a hit. And my perpetrator, Kevin Glenn Turner, the sad part about him was he was a serial rapist. The other sad part about Kevin Glenn Turner was when he was picked up, he was locked up for 10 years. He got out of prison, and he did the same exact thing, same MO. But this time it was an elderly woman whose home he broke into and raped her at knife point. And I was so angry, because I'm like, had you tied him to me, these other victims, especially somebody's grandmother after he was incarcerated, you would have known how dangerous he was. Obviously, your system did not rehabilitate him after 10 years. But I took that anger and I used it as fuel. And I use it as fuel to say, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to use my voice. I'm not going to shut up until I'm 6 feet under. And thanks to Victoria Neave, even when I'm 6 feet under, my voice will still resound with the Lavinia Masters Act. And you will know how serious we are and how dedicated we are to victims of sexual assault. These kits that are on these shelves, they are not trinkets, they are not decorations, they are people's lives. I was tormented. I was alone. I was afraid, because I had no answers whatsoever, none. And it makes you angry to think that you are cast aside, as if no one cares who you are, what you are, about your life, about your future. It's like you're trying to dictate that when you put somebody's life on the shelf. And you will not do it again as long as I'm alive. And if those kids stay on the shelf, I'm gonna raise hell. I'm gonna cause problems. I'm gonna be in your inboxes. I'm gonna be calling Victoria, and I'll write letters to the president. I don't care, because that's what I did before I connected with Victoria, Senator Cornyn, Senator Wendy Davis. I made noise, because this has got to stop. Victims have a voice. We have rights. We deserve justice. We deserve to be heard. We deserve to live our lives in peace. We deserve to have those answers. And it's not fair to do victims that way. I had one officer, and I'm not trying to put him down, I went to speak, and before I spoke, he was in Denton County. I'm gonna tell that much. He was in Denton County, and he said some of these kids, they're from the 70s and this, and we don't have the money, and they're probably dead. I almost lost it. I had to go to the bathroom. You know, Denton County Friends of the Family knew. He struck my nerve when he said that. And when I got up to speak, I'm like, Lord, help me not to be disrespectful to this man, because obviously he doesn't know. But he had a change of thought and a change of heart once he encountered me, because you cannot make those assumptions. These monsters, just because you can't tie him with this person, he may be tied to somebody else. And that's why it's important that survivors or victims of sexual assault turn your evidence in. You don't have to report immediately. That's one of the protections of the Lavinia Masters Act. But give us that evidence so we can get these monsters off the street. You deserve to live. You deserve to smile. You deserve to live your dreams, be who you want to be. You deserve your justice. And even if you have to demand it and speak it and say it out loud, you deserve it. And I'm thankful for Victoria Neave. And she may be short in stature like me. I got heels on today. But I tell you what, she's coming for you. And I appreciate that. And she does it in the most respectful way, but she knows that these victims deserve justice. And I think everybody that has worked with us in the DPS and keeping on top of everything and keeping us with the numbers, and I know, I think DPS Brady, I think you were on a call with me one time, and I bet she was like, this lady is mad. I'm not mad, I'm just passionate about it, because I have a heart for victims, because I was there. I was in that dark place. I was in that lonely place. I was afraid. I felt alone. I felt neglected. I felt abandoned. This is how I felt. But I had to go back, and I'm gonna keep going back, and I'm gonna keep trying to rescue these victims so they can live their lives, so they can stay off drugs, so they can stop being promiscuous, so they can stop getting into alcohol and dangerous lifestyles and doing things that I have to go back, because it could have been me. But God spared me, and I see why now I'm spared, because I have work to do. And I'm thankful that I was given this opportunity to share and be a part of it all. God bless you.